Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show.
And we are back with Jason Offutt and James Kirschbaum out there. And we're talking right now Bigfoot, and we're going to get into all kind of, scary things here tonight. Hey, Jason, are you still with us?
Yes, I sure am.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. What I was going to talk about before, pesky commercials and things got in the way. But the thing is, you're talking about people. You mentioned people going out, and searching for Bigfoot, hunting for Bigfoot, and they don't find him because they're hunting for him. You find him by accident, which absolutely anything that has to do with cryptozoology or the paranormal, these things are accidents whenever you run into them. You can't actually go find something. However, people who search for Bigfoot talk about, I heard wood knocks. Oh man, that was Bigfoot. I heard wood knocks. I heard howling, or I heard grunting. That had to be Bigfoot. And there are so many different noises common animals make in the woods that dear Lord, it could be anything. And the wood knock, who on earth said that Bigfoot knocks on trees? Yeah, who determined that? What Bigfoot version of Jane Goodall went out there and lived with the Sasquatch, to find out exactly what their behavior is? What I envision, Bigfoot hunters out there hearing wood knocks. Oh my God, a wood knock! I'm going to take this branch and hit a tree. And then a mile and a half away, another Bigfoot hunter's going, "Oh my God, did you hear that wood knock? Bigfoot just answered mine." That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're going to get some emails with that too.
Oh yeah, we will. You know what though? I said the same thing. I had a guest one time tell me the same thing. They went out looking for Bigfoot. They heard the knocks. Okay. Or actually they went out and they did the knocks, and then they got a reply. Okay. So then they did the knocks and they got another reply. So then that's all they heard and all they saw that whole day while they were out looking for Bigfoot. Coming back through the trail, they run across another bunch of people. And, they start talking. They go, "Yeah, we heard Bigfoot knocks." "Oh, we did too." "Yeah, well, we knocked, and it was responding." "Well, what time did you hear the knocks?" "Oh, it's such and such time." And they go, "Oh, that's the same time we heard the knocks." They were knocking to each other.
So, yeah, that actually happened. That is hilarious. Yeah, that's, and I'm not, I'm not trying to belittle anybody going out there and, trying to get evidence of Bigfoot. I mean, go for it, because I really think that Bigfoot's an actual creature. And of course you saw one. So
I
you
did
too, but yeah. So, I want Bigfoot to be discovered. I just really think it's, premature on our part to label all of these Bigfoot behaviors on a creature. And, we honestly don't know if that's actually Bigfoot behavior.
No, we don't. We only surmise. It's just like, I mentioned, Jason, like some of these Bigfoot hunters, I say to them, well, you take the time to make the plaster footprints. Have you ever thought of having some jars with you and scoop up the dirt where the footprint was from the Bigfoot and then have that soil analyzed? Oh, I never thought about that one. Well, that would be the first thing I would think about. That would be more important to me than getting the plaster footprint. If there's a bunch of them, is try to get some DNA to prove that whatever it is making this footprint, if it was man-made or, I'm saying out from the, like maybe a real Bigfoot.
Right, but even at that point, we've got a problem, because most people out there trying to do Bigfoot research aren't scientists. And there's a great chance that whatever evidence that they come back with, hair, blood, scat, the dirt like you're talking about, that they'll contaminate it before they bring it in. I mean, what we need are, some more serious scientists out there in the woods trying to do this. We've got a few, but those are the people who are going to discover something, not your, regular, weekend Bigfoot hunter.
Yeah, and I just want to say something. It's very important. If you're out there looking for Bigfoot, Well, you need to take some type of protection if you're out in the woods, because there is other crazy people, number one. And if it isn't that, depending on where you live in the country, if you live in the Northwest, you got to worry about cougars, you got to worry about mountain lions, you got to worry about bears, and there's other things. So you need to at least carry some type of protection. And if you don't want to do that, carry a can of bear spray at least, because I just keep thinking when I was a kid, when my uncle was shot a bear, and that bear didn't die from the shot. He didn't do the kill shot. And that bear mauled him up, and my uncle almost died from being mauled up, and he had the scars for the rest of his life. So if you're out there looking for Bigfoot, don't just think a jackknife or a 6-inch knife is going to protect you. I'm not saying about the Bigfoot. I'm talking about one of these other critters out there. Be smart.
And I'm going to agree with that completely, and that doesn't just go for people out there looking for cryptids. Your ghost hunters out there, the paranormal is not something to be afraid of. People, and as you said, cougars and bears, those are things to be afraid of. Be prepared for those first.
Oh, yeah. Just like James had an experience once, and I'll tell it, James, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, James?
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, he's out in the middle of nowhere, out in the woods years ago, and he hears some noise, so he decides he's going to investigate it. And he sees a fire. He sees a goat chained up, and he sees all these people in robes going around this fire chanting. Now, he could have been where that goat was very easily if he got discovered. So, I mean, when you go out places like that, you got to let people know where you're at. You got to have self-protection. And
don't go alone.
And don't go alone, because that's the craziest thing in the world. I think James realized that.
Oh, yeah, I was young and dumb, and, this Halloween marks 31 years that happened, and, they had robes, they had a bonfire, there was a machete on a bench, there was a goat chained there, they were chanting, and, I felt like, boy, if I get discovered crashing this barbecue, I could be in trouble. So I backed out of there very quietly, and, nobody knew where I was or nothing. It was stupid.
That is a lot more frightening than running into a Bigfoot in the woods.
Oh, it could be. Or going out, and a lot of people go out, looking for, ghosts, or go into old abandoned farmhouses, barns, for example, and they don't realize you walk in there, and if you don't tell people where you're at, and if you're alone, what happens if you fall through the floor? I can honestly say that because one of the places I worked at, when I wasn't doing radio, was an old building. It was built in the 1870s, 1880s, like that, in downtown Tacoma. And it was so unsafe in the 60s, they took off, I think, like 4 or 5 stories of the building. It was originally a hotel or brothel, depending on the time frame. And I would go up there because I like taking pictures. That's my other passion besides radio, was photography. I'd go up there. Now, the rooms were all gone. That was upstairs, but the linoleum floor was there. The old brick wall was there, where they boarded up the windows. And it was, I loved like that old linoleum. It was made in the 1880s. I mean, it was really beautiful. But I walked too far without being smart, and I fell through the floor. Now, there was about a good, I would say, 30, 40-foot drop, maybe even more from that. No, it was actually about 50 foot, more I think about it, drop to the floor. Because that was in the area, would have been the main lobby of the hotel when it was a hotel at that time. And I was hanging there. The only thing that kept me from dropping down was my armpits and my arms. And it was so bad, even the paramedics were scared to get me because they were worried about falling through. The bad part is if I would have fell all the way through, there was about 50 tripods underneath me. Yeah, it would not have been a good feeling. That stop would have not been very good. I would have been impaled.
Yeah, you would have. I had almost the same experience. The old steel mill fell right through, had a graded floor 200 feet up and probably 50 feet to the next level. And they had like cardboard or something over this little hole. And the only thing caught me was my arms. And I got to tell you, I about pulled my shoulders out of place. And, if I'd have fell through, I'd have been dead. And again, nobody knew I was there investigating. Stupid. That was a long time ago. So
you got to be careful if you go out anywhere. Tell people, be prepared. Make sure you have a cell phone, and again, it's important. I know that's getting away from talking about monsters, but a lot of people don't think. They just go out and do, and when you do that, you risk your life. That's all I'm saying. The same way.
Safety first.
Oh, yeah. And again, if you ran into a Mothman or whatever, if you actually did run across one, the dumbest thing you do would be approach it. I don't think they're going to be very friendly.
No.
Well, and that's what you were saying about pictures. And you're absolutely right. If I ran into a Mothman or a Bigfoot or, let's go back to the mountain lion or bear, I would not think of taking a picture. I would not pull my cell phone out. Whenever I hear people or read about skeptics going, well, how come there aren't any good pictures of Bigfoot? Well, here, let me give you all my camera equipment. I'll set you out in the woods, and if you see a Bigfoot, I want to see what kind of picture you get. They're not going to get one, because the first thing anybody with any brains is going to do is get the hell out of there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because it hits you by surprise. It really does. And I will say this. There's a lot of people out there who claim they've seen a Bigfoot. But, the biggest thing now, and James, correct me if I'm wrong, even the big old Bigfoot hunters now are saying, oh, they're not really flesh and blood. They're kind of a ghostly, paranormal thing that might even be tied in with UFOs. I mean, these people are going every which way, and it's interesting.
You're right. A lot of them are changing. They're changing, but here's the thing: going back to the one you saw, Gary. If you recall, you pointed your camera at it because you thought it was a bear, and I think that might have triggered it. Maybe it thought it was a weapon or something, because I know your experience. You don't think that was a spirit. That was a flesh and blood cryptid.
Well, you can sure see if it was a spirit, it sure couldn't have done what it did to my wife's new car.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Well, one of the things about because that's kind of the new thing that people are like, oh, it's an interdimensional Bigfoot, or it's can phase in and out of of sight, and it's from a UFO, and I tend to, I still beat it's a flesh and blood animal drum, because what we're doing when we're saying, oh, it's interdimensional, or it can phase shift, or whatever, we're explaining something that's unknown with something else that's unknown. And that really is a poor way to look at things. You need to, if you don't think it's flesh and blood, we need to prove it's not flesh and blood before we start speculating, down some other line.
Well, I agree with you. I can only go from my experience, okay? I'm willing to take a lie detector test. I'm willing to go on sodium pentothal. Why not? A good way to get high for a second or two. But I can honestly tell you, I know what I saw. And it wasn't something that gave off orbs. It wasn't somebody it was sending orbs my way. It wasn't a figment of my imagination, because a friend of mine who's a medical doctor was right there with me. Very credible person. And we both saw the same thing. And when it chased us, again, I only know from turning around like once or twice when I was running, trying to get away. And that was my only thought, was to get away.